2.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another great episode of the Gridiron Glory. Pat and Will here. We apologize that the content posting has been a little inconsistent the last couple weeks or so, but we're hoping to get right back on track with that. Get right back to bringing you guys the Gridiron Glory, the beautiful podcast that Tad and I create to bring you coverage of all 32 teams in the NFL. And we're going to start today with the 49ers and the Seahawks. The 49ers went on the road on Thursday Night Football in Week 6, and they were led by an incredible showing from their amazing leader of a quarterback, Brock Purdy. And he goes out there against a division rival nonetheless, on the road, and he puts up beautiful numbers. Brock Purdy does. He threw for 255 yards with 3 touchdowns. The Niners never trailed in this game, including a 76-yard catch and run from Deebo Samuel. Just Brock Purdy went out there and showed the NFL world what kind of a quarterback he can really be. Now, say what you want about him. Say you might only rank him mid-tier, right? Say he's Mr. Irrelevant, right? Say he, 18th, 19th, 20 in the ranking. Say whatever you want about him out there, because I feel like a lot of fans out there that are going to be watching this video might think, oh, Brock Purdy this, he's not all that, this and that. But let me tell you something, okay? He is doing more than what was asked of him and then what was brought on to him. He has exceeded expectations in his role. I mean, he comes in as the third string quarterback to begin with. And then you take your team to the NFC Championship game. You get injured in that NFC Championship game, okay? Then you come back the next season, okay? Not only do you take your team to the NFC Championship game, you take them to the Super Bowl where you lose in overtime. So now, in his third year, Brock Purdy, he goes from being the third-string quarterback, Mr. Irrelevant, the quarterback out of Iowa State University, located in Ames, Iowa, Tad's favorite city. And fans, I really hope you guys are loving his reaction to the things that I'm saying right now, because he is a diehard Hawkeyes fan. And yes, I want him to really know how amazing Brock Purdy is at playing football. And the numbers speak for themselves. And 3-3, still early in the season, but hey, this is a team that is bound and led to potentially make another run once again. So, I don't know. I'm all in on Brock Purdy. Please let me know what you guys think in the comments about Brock Purdy. He's a guy that has really proven himself thus far in the NFL and has exceeded his expectations from draft night when he got drafted 3 years ago. Nobody, and I mean nobody, expected this of him. So, shout out to Brock Purdy, the quarterback out of Iowa State University. And yes, but it's also worth mentioning that the 49ers defense also didn't really come out to play too, led by the linebacker Fred Warner, of course, who had 11 total tackles for 6 of them. You also got guys like Nick Bosa, Devondre Campbell, D. Winters. This San Francisco 49er defense, all season long, has been very consistent. The defense hasn't necessarily really been all that much of an issue for them. One thing I was really surprised at is, Jordan Mason didn't necessarily look as flashy in this game instead of Isaac Garando. Hopefully I said that right, but yeah, he seemed to have got more of the carries and the yards. So kind of wondering, if like they're experimenting with their running backs and everything like that. So yes,
Jordan Mason was hurt in the game. That's a lot
right.
of
That's
what
right.
that went down to. And it seems and it seems he's also was hurt in practice this week, so they'll have to rely a bit more on Garendo. Obviously the 49ers running back room, it's taken a toll this year with McCaffrey, obviously, and now
Christian McCaffrey being
Mason, out. And so now they got to go to the rookie Isaac Garendo out of Louisville, their 4th round draft pick. So
what do And have you heard anything about Christian McCaffrey's status? I mean, from what I've heard, he's expected to come back potentially in mid-November, unless you've heard anything different.
As far as I know, it's still like a week by week thing. I mean, it's not like not anytime soon,
Right.
but like November, like we'll see what happens in November, but I wouldn't expect it anytime soon based on what we're hearing, I guess.
I mean,
Not
yeah,
good.
like I said, for the Seahawks, I feel like I pretty much talked about the 49ers side of things, but for the
Mhm.
Seahawks, it's just um I don't know what did the Seahawks needed what did they need to do better in this game?
I mean, their offense needs to keep pace a little better. That's not an easy thing to do against this defense. They have one of the best defenses in the league, San Francisco, but early on, I mean, the offense only got 3 points in the first half. Looking at Seattle, they didn't run the ball enough, and when they did, they didn't run the ball very effectively. I'd say that's probably number one. I mean, maybe look some at the run blocking and the offensive line, the play calling. Um, see for sure what's going on there. They only had 20 rush attempts, 52 pass attempts, not very balanced. So yeah, part of it was probably the two turnovers. I mean, you have the two interceptions. That definitely doesn't help your cause, and you also lose a fumble. So tough sledding there. Hard to keep pace with a team like San Francisco when you're making all sorts of mistakes like that.
Yeah. And where would you rank Geno Smith amongst NFL starting quarterbacks?
I mean, Geno Smith is a guy that he's shown with Seattle that he can put up the big numbers, that he can have some solid performances, but he's just not been consistent enough, I feel, in the
And
three
now
years.
now here's a better question for you, Tad. Would you rank Geno Smith above or below Brock Purdy?
I would rank Geno Smith below Brock Purdy.
Wow.
I
Folks,
mean,
that this is coming from an Iowa Hawkeyes fan, so this is legit. I'm surprised by that name.
I feel like I do a fairly decent job of non-biased analysis, and I mean it's hard to really
I
take a
mean,
knack at Brock Purdy's performance today. It was well in the game, I should say. It was a quality performance. I mean, he laid it all out there, got the three touchdowns, the did what he could, and I mean, like you said, I mean, based on where he was on draft day and his expectations, I mean, yeah, he's far exceeded those. I mean, and now I feel like he's kind of like set a new bar for himself. So I mean, you don't really rank him against where he was on draft day. I mean, he's raised the standard. So now the question is like, can he continue to live up to his new potential, I guess, if that's a way you want to look at it. So yeah, he's had the run to the Super Bowl, and now he's seeing what he can do this year. It's obviously record-wise, it's a disappointing start to the year. I'm sure they'd want to be better than 3-3 if you would have asked before the season. But there's plenty of season left, and I think they showed in the game against Seattle that they're probably still far and away the best team in the division. So I mean, you can probably expect to see them competing for a high seed in the playoffs once again. And then obviously when the playoffs get there, they have a lot of strengths, especially if they can get McCaffrey back. That would help, obviously. So, yeah.
yeah. And yeah, so there you have it. San Francisco wins this game 36-24. Coming up next week for the Niners. We're starting to get into the nitty-gritty of the season. Yeah, the Niners host. You were talking about the run to the Super Bowl. Brock Purdy will host the Chiefs at home. So
Yeah, it will.
a really good chance for revenge for the 49ers next week.
Hmm.
And then for Seattle, they go on the road and play a very tough Falcons team.
Very
So,
interesting matchup there.
so these are two NFC teams that still have a tough road ahead of them. And
Yeah.
one might even say that these two teams, I mean, could contend for the NFC. I mean, obviously, you feel like the Niners have way higher expectations than the Seahawks for the NFC playoffs.
For sure.
But I mean, I feel like it's still kind of. I mean, there might be like 3 or 4 teams where like we know for sure they're probably not going to make the playoffs, like Carolina, for example. But I mean, I feel like with the rest of the teams, it's still kind of still early to really tell. I still feel like we need a few more weeks. So there you have it. 49ers 36, Seahawks 24. Week 6 of Thursday Night Football it was. Be sure to like, subscribe, and follow. Be sure to follow us all season long. This is the Gridiron Glory, where we cover all 32 teams.